another synth patch here to build it in analog, and this has got a nice kind of contemporary flavor to it, bit of movement, nice stereo width, and I'll play it to you in the example that I've got set up here. So this is it. Have a think about what you might think is going on. Of course, some of the information is giving the game away on the actual analog here as well. So I'm going to start from scratch. I'm going to create a new one. And what we'll do is bring the data over from the existing MIDI clip here. And I'm going to solo this. And I'm going to name it. We're going to call this Fizz Chords. So it's a patch that's designed for basically working with chords, you know, but just any time when you're playing more than 2 notes, it's going to work nicely. So let's set it up. The first thing that I did was to basically set up some detuned oscillators to create that nice kind of beating flavor. And so what I did was turned on oscillator 2, and I did some detuning. So the detuning here, let's take it to about 19. As it was before, it's like that. So we're detuning, thickening the sound out. The other thing that I wanted was a nice stereo image. So in order to do that, we can turn on the amp 2 and we can do some panning. So what I did was not quite the full width. I separated these sounds out somewhere around this kind of a distance. So you've got a nice stereo signal. Now what I wanted to do was to have these as notes that I could play in a nice sustained fashion. So I needed to actually, on the amplifier envelope for each, bring the sustain level up. So I'm going to do that on both. So flipping between the two. You may not have realized that you've got these separate amplifier envelopes, but they are there. So you've got independent capability. Got a nice thick sound now. I'm just going to bring that down a little bit. Also, I'm going to bring down the volume here. So what I did next was to basically work on the filter. And I wanted to turn on the filter here, get a little bit of movement going on. But can you see what's going on now? You can see the balance has changed. You can hear there's a difference between the left and the right. Because the routing of the filters at the moment is set that we've got 50-50 of filter 1 and 2. Now what I want is, I want to have 2 filters running here and for there to be a different vibe going on. And I'm going to set oscillator 1 to work with filter 1 only, oscillator 2 to go to filter 2 only. So that means we've got to turn this on, and I want a different slope here. Go for something like the 24 dB. And the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make this the slave, which means that the envelope settings that I put over here are going to be basically modulating this filter in the same way. And I want something a bit different. You know, I want to get this just some kind of different flavor, you know, some kind of different frequency vibe going. I don't know what I'll do at the moment, but I'll just put it around here. Just bring up the resonance. Both of these I had the resonance quite high because I wanted to get this nice kind of fizzy texture. That's where the name comes from. So let's take this one up here as well. Bring this down a bit. Let's have a listen, see how that is at the moment. Now of course I need to modulate these via the filter envelope, so I need to take this up. That's working really nicely there. But I had a slower attack. I'm just going to fine tune this. Can you hear the difference between the 2 sounds in your ears? It's got really nice flavor to it. Also, another thing that I did was to actually modulate the filter with the LFO. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on, and I had the rate quite fast. Let me get this modulating. Come over to the envelope and let's bring up some amount. Something like that's working quite nicely. So what I'm going to do now is see how that sounds with the actual chords. Just going to slow the attack on both of these envelopes. That sounds great. I'm going to bring the volume down here, take it off, see how it sounds with the beat. So it's working really nicely. I'm going to save this. Let's call it DJL Fizz Chords. And then we can use that on something else. So you've learned a couple of things there. We can have two separate filters. You can route that over here on the left-hand side with the oscillator and choose which filter they're going through. By default, it's 50-50 of each. And with the two separate amplifiers here, we can provide different pan information to create a nice stereo width from the sound.
At Point Blank Online, you've got two methods of interaction with your tutor. Firstly, you've got the weekly online masterclass, which is in real time. And then also we've got feedback on your assignments, and that's known as DVR.
So the online masterclass is a 1-hour session you get with your tutor every week. You can ask questions about the lesson content and get instant feedback, and also demonstrations on the fly from their computer desktop with our streaming technology. DVR stands for Direct Video Response, and the concept is really simple. You upload your Ableton, Logic or Cubase project file to your tutor, he downloads it and then pushes record on the screen capturing software and evaluates your work, so basically giving you one-to-one feedback. You see all of the mouse movements and any parameter changes made by your tutor. It's kind of like sitting in the studio over their shoulder watching what they're doing whilst they work. We have found the DVR process has truly revolutionized the way that we teach online, and the results speak for themselves. Book your place on the course now by visiting pointblankonline.net.